You are listening to Radio Cosmos.
All night long.
Bravo! My compliments, little lady.
Commercial!
Break for 30 seconds.
You are now listening to BaaD Radio.
Hello and welcome to BaaD Radio. BaaD stands for Business at a Distance. This is a show about local businesses and business networking. We are here in the News Radio WFLA studios from 11 a.m. to noon every Sunday. I am your host, Angela Smarito, and before we jump into everything, I want to give one of my sponsors a shout out. Thank you so much to Ground Up Property Services. The Florida heat is here, and so now is the time for your irrigation system to be serviced by Ground Up Property Services. Don't wait for your grass to turn brown and die. Call today, 407-468-4295, or visit groundupinc.net. All right, now the good stuff. That was actually good stuff. So, because I know the lawns are like, so you see them dying all over the place. So I know ours is, but like I said, we've got Ground Up, so we're good.
And don't count on your 16-year-olds.
Right. Well, I am super excited to have Lisa Pearcy. She is the founder and CEO of 15 Light Years here today with us. So get applause.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
Uh-huh. So she did confess that she gets a little nervous in front of them. Don't even worry about the cameras. We're just having a conversation here. So I'm so glad that you responded to me when I came searching. I think I just went like the old-fashioned way, info at 15 Light Years, and I went to somebody in your office and then eventually got to you. So that's a good thing.
Yes, absolutely. They gatekeep for me, I guess you could say.
Well, I'm sure that there's plenty of people that probably try to get after you at some point. So before we jump into all of that, let's just talk a little bit about 15 Light Years and just tell the audience what that is.
Yeah, so 15 Light Years was founded on how people use energy.
Okay.
So energy efficiency and renewable energy and changing the way we look at energy and being a part of the energy transition. So a lot of people know that as solar PV or renewable energy, but we also do energy testing as well for new construction.
Okay. So we use the word solar a lot, right?
Mm-hmm.
So is that the main thing? If you're like, what is 15 Light Years? And you're going to say it's a solar.
Yeah, we were actually founded on energy efficiency first.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that gave us a leg up in the renewable energy space because we fully understood how people consume and use energy first. We actually do energy efficiency testing, which is looking at the building holistically. And when a new construction builder builds your home, making sure there's no leaks or leaks in your ductwork, which is huge here in Florida.
Oh, yeah.
Leaks around your windows, and we do what's called a blower door test. So we test for all of that, and we can actually depressurize a house and see where the leaks are, and then you get a score based on that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So when you say renewable energy, what exactly does that mean? Because like I understand the solar part, but give me the definition there.
So I think the term comes because the sun's, a renewable source. So we're not using the sun and then it goes away, right? So your renewable energy is coming from the sun. You're not using oil and then it's gone, right? Once you use oil, it's completely gone. This is a renewable source that you can use every day.
Okay. Well, that actually clears a lot of things up for me because I wasn't sure. I mean, I love the term because it's like just the way it stands. So your background starts where?
Yeah, so I have an extensive background from homeowners insurance to HVAC and, I guess getting started in those sectors that were very male-dominated gave me a little less fear when I jumped into renewable energy.
One. And that's one of the reasons why I was really interested in talking to you is because of the industry you're in is such a male-dominated industry. But I don't want to jump forward. So let's talk a little bit more. So you said where? We were talking about your initial out of college
Yeah,
job.
my first job was in homeowners insurance, and it was in 2004, which 4 hurricanes hit the state of Florida.
Oh, yeah.
So
I remember. What was it? It was
So,
Charlie, and
yeah.
Charlie was the first, and that was the one that did the most damage to our house.
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't sleep for 2 weeks because I worked for a homeowners insurance
Oh,
company.
jeez.
Yeah, here in Florida. So I got baptism by fire,
Right.
And I stuck with it. I'm kind of stubborn like that, but it really got me to fully understand, the home and home building, home construction, that type of thing. How homes were resilient to hurricanes, and the ones that weren't. So I think, it gave me a great sense of business as well. It was a small company. It's very large now. So
Right. And then from where'd you go from there?
I went from there to HVAC. So I sold for the
Okay,
manufacturer.
another male-dominated industry.
Yes. It was a really, really good experience for me because that's what really got me into energy. Homes are 70% of the use is in air conditioning here in Florida.
Right.
So I really focused and dialed in on the energy efficiency of selling a new AC unit and helped contractors fully understand return on investment for the home based on putting in a new unit. And,
Right.
And
So were you working in the commercial space or in residential?
in residential, very, very little commercial because, I worked with different businesses, which really did help me start my own business because I met small business owners every day.
Right.
And, they really just accepted me and welcomed me. And the HVAC industry is male dominated, but they were very welcoming. And
nice.
Yeah. And I helped them understand how to sell on energy efficiency. And I think it really expanded my horizons on understanding the need for it here. I've always been kind of a tree hugger, and I've always been focused on sustainability. Even when I was very young, I wanted to save the manatees, and I've always been very, very much environmentalist. So I think it was a natural fit. It was a natural next step for me.
And that's where I want to talk about too, because the rotation of the involvement, I guess you could say, from I see now like the beginning part where you've learned some about the home, and then the HVAC actually is a very natural step towards where you're at now. So from HVAC, I'm sorry, were you in a sales space?
Yeah, I was in a sales space. Yeah.
And then
How did I get
Yeah.
there? So I actually, one of my contractors was really interested in energy as well and wanted to start an energy efficiency company doing whole home testing and energy testing and ductwork testing.
So kind of like mold testing. People get assessed. So you would go to their house and test their house to see like how much their AC is leaking out the windows.
Yep.
Simple.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. And there was a lot of programs at the time through Duke for ductwork replacement and that type of thing.
Right.
So I think for him that incentive was there, and I kind of went the sustainability route and started looking into green certifications. So Florida Green Building Coalition, United States Green Building Coalition. And I went to schools and built outdoor classrooms and volunteered on all types of sustainability boards and learned as much as I possibly could on the sustainability side. And in that experience with him, I realized that, energy efficiency was truly my passion. That's where I was meant to be, as well as green certification and now renewable energy solar. But I think it really kickstarted me to realize all of this. And then in 2017, it all became code. So that really helped the business launch.
Oh, okay. So you're talking about like government saying your business has to have this.
Right. Well, if you build a new home, you have to have duct leakage and blower door tests to make sure that it's efficient enough to then put up the drywall and that type of thing. So you're not leaking energy.
So those old homes, that's the problem, isn't
it?
Yeah. We have an old home, trust me, I know. But to get new windows, it's like $30,000.
No, it's not cheap. But it's funny too because you don't really see it. So I moved into an old home in Winter Park and I did all those things. I had to practice what I preached, but I really wanted a new kitchen and I had to hold off, because I was doing new windows and insulation and those type of things that no one's going to see. But with the volatility of your energy bill, then
it's pretty bad.
It's pretty bad. So
you
do see the return on investment. You do.
For sure. Well, that time clock says that we're getting close to break, but when we get back, I do want to talk a little bit more about like your the phases to get you into where you guys are at now, and I really want to talk about the whole scope of what 15 Light Years does. So everybody stay tuned because when we get back, we're going to have more BaaD Radio.
Welcome back to BaaD Radio, brought to you by Premier Couple Superstore, because a couple that plays together stays together.
Welcome back, and this portion of the show is brought to you by Premier Couple Superstore. Summer is here, and it is time for a trip to Premier Couple Superstore. They have a huge selection of lingerie, shoes, toys, games, love oils, and a ton of great gifts. 5009 South OBT, or shop online at premiercouples.net, because a couple that plays together stays together.
Oh, yeah.
And we are here with Lisa Pearcy with 15 light years, and I'm going to have to change that live now. It's going to have to be like fall's right around the corner. It's still going to be hot you're an expert in it, right? How long are we going to be hot for?
Oh, September is the worst month because, everywhere else is starting to cool down and we're just heating up.
Right. Talking about like those 4 hurricanes in 2004, Tom and I had our first child like 6 days before.
Oh, fun.
Before Charlie hit. So we had like a newborn, and the ceiling of her nursery caved in, and I was devastated.
Oh,
so,
did you have no power also? Right?
No, actually, we were in Winter Park. We had power.
Wow.
We didn't have cable or anything like that. So I watched every episode of In Living Color that we had, because we had a VHS.
VHS, wow, I haven't heard that.
I know. I had like certain movies, like A Green Mile. Like we had a video cassette tape or whatever, VHS, and so. Yeah, it was a challenge, and then there was another one, and then another one. By the time our daughter was 3 months old, she had already been through 3 hurricanes, and my nerves were frazzled without a doubt.
I can't imagine.
Yeah, it was a little tough. So during the break, I talked about like just rounding off like 15 light years and where it's at right now. So let's kind of finish up what we were talking about before, and we can go on.
Yeah, fast forward to where we are right now.
Yeah.
I mean, we're innovative. That's one of the things we're known for. So we're always looking at new ways to apply solar. We've installed solar at NASA, which is pretty cool.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Is that why you have the astronaut?
Yeah, well, I had the astronaut before NASA, so all those, vision boards and things, they pay off because
Right? That's amazing.
Yeah, I had that vision, and eventually it came too. So now we're a local, to the state of Florida, and we're looking to expand.
Okay.
And we're doing really well. We're a Fast 50 company.
Nice. Now I see it. And OBJ.
Yeah.
Girls got it going on. So from what I understand, though, it's just you're working in like the B2B business right now. So you're not really working in the residential world.
No, not anymore. If there is certain customers that we are servicing, of course, we have quite a few residential customers we still service. But we're focused on B2B. We're and we can say it now, we are the chosen installer for the city of Orlando.
Yay,
so yeah,
congratulations.
Thank you. So we have our hands full, and we're scaling appropriately because, growth comes, a lot of challenges. So we're just making sure we have the right people in place. And we do. I like to surround myself with people who are smarter than me. So.
Is it like, because I know how it works in the media world, like an agency is like if it's an RFP, business comes up. Is that how it works?
Yeah.
In your industry as well? So everybody gets to see like all the information. You put your proposal together, you pitch it, you win the business, that sort of thing?
Yeah, it's all public. You submit an RFP, so you have, and typically you have to follow their guidelines, but it's a book. We put together like 50 pages, and then it comes down to 3, and then it's a presentation, and then a bidder's selected, and you go from there, and then you go in front of the commission and that type of thing.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
I know how stressful that can be. I've done a lot of those in my time. Not on that level though, but like I said, as far as like marketing and business and winning contracts and things like that. So that's amazing. So when we first started talking, I was talking to you about my generation. So I was born in 73. I'm straight up Gen X. And when solar became popular, or when it started to get brought up, like in my lifetime, as we were getting older or getting into the time where we're buying houses, my thought process is that you have somebody come to your door, and they're door knockers, and they try to sell you solar. And it's kind of like it had a little bit of a stigma of being kind of an industry that was pushy. It would take forever for you to get a return on your investment, and that it just wasn't worth it. I got everything from it damages your roof to this, to this, to this. So how do you handle that? Because like the younger generation is much more open. They're much more flexible and listen, and where my generation, we're pains in the butts, and I know it. So what do you guys do to kind of overcome that?
Yeah, well, I mean, you are pains in the butt for the right reason. The industry's growing up, so a lot of the same problems that, you would have had, like you said, the leaky roof or the instability of the solar, right? So everyone was so afraid of the instability of the sun. Here in Florida, if it's not sunny, we're not going to get power. And so a lot of it was just education and teaching people how solar worked. And I think that I've always led with education. I'm not a pushy salesperson. I think that the more people know, the better we are as an industry whole. Whether or not they choose to go solar or not.
Right.
But I think that, we work in conjunction with the utility, so you're never just going to be out of power if the sun's not out.
I think that's what the worry is,
Yeah.
is that you think that if you go solar, then you're not going to have electricity certain times.
Yeah. And it's come such a long way. Even the attachments to the roof there definitely are some attachments that are better than others and that type of thing, but now there are new attachments out that are actually adhesive and you just adhere them to the roof, so you're not actually making any penetration.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so they've come a long way, and in a way are overcoming some of those issues that we had as an industry whole in the beginning.
So it's a lot of it is education.
Yeah, and I think there's less door knockers. I don't know if that's even true or not.
It's not when I say door knock. Now it's kind of like phone calls.
Yeah,
you
phone
get
calls.
like if you even so much as slow down on a solar ad when you're scrolling through your social media, you will get 15 calls.
Yeah, and we've never been that company. We've never chose that route for a lot of reasons. I think it's an invasion on people's privacy. And it's unfortunate that certain companies are, focused on the sale and not educating the customer.
Yeah.
And so when you're only focused on the sale, a lot of lies come out about solar and what it can and can't do. And a few bad apples spoil the bunch sometimes.
That's what happened in the roofing industry. It's happened in a lot of industries. I was even saying like water treatment was another one, like water filtration systems. You had the guy come to your house and like drop some pellet in there and tell you that your family's going to die because your water is so toxic. That industry is still has, because I've dealt with some people in that industry, and they still have that really kind of that fear factor, like scare you into spending all this money for a system.
Right.
The way I look at it is like we're all alive.
Yeah.
I'm alive now, so it must not be too bad. But the thought of saving energy, like, and it all comes down to dollars. Saving money, that's really, really attractive. And so with these businesses that you work with, is that kind of the direction? You said it's code. So how does that work?
Well, energy testing is code. So
okay.
Renewable energy is becoming more and more of a code, kind of topic. So I think it's going to go in that direction. Right now, it's not.
Okay. So what you're saying, when a building gets put together, it has to be tested to make sure that it's somewhat efficient.
Yeah, that there's no leaking air to the outside, the ductwork's in good condition and that type of thing. And it's basically to protect people from wasting energy. It's such a valuable resource, right? Wars are fought on it. So like if you think about it that way, it's really taking that energy independence back a little bit. And we do teach people about that. And it's not just about renewable energy or putting panels on the roof, but the less you actually consume, the less solar you need, right?
Okay.
So because you're not consuming as much, your home's more energy efficient. You have good windows. Hint, hint.
Oh, I know. Trust me, it's on this Morito family plan.
Then the less solar you're gonna need because you're using less.
Yeah. Well, that last hurricane killed us.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Was it Ian?
Yeah. All the rain.
Yeah, our house flooded. Like
Yeah.
we have a sunken living room, and it filled up like a swimming pool. Tons of damage. No flood insurance.
Oh.
It was very, very costly.
Yeah.
But we've moved on. We're working it out, and we're going to go to break.
Okay, great.
So everybody stay tuned for more BaaD Radio coming up.
Welcome back to BaaD Radio, brought to you by Premier Couple Superstore, because a couple that plays together stays together.
Welcome back, and this portion of the show is brought to you by Frogger's Grill and Bar. Looking for a place to go with friends or meet new ones? Then you're looking for Frogger's Grill and Bar. And don't miss out on Frogger's amazing menu where everything is fresh, never frozen. With 4 great locations, there is bound to be one near you. Oviedo, Mount Dora, Apopka, and Altamont Springs. Frogger's, hopping with food and fun.
Yeah, boy.
I love all my little noises. Just real quick before we jump back into it, Frogger's is having a fundraiser in Mount Dora this Saturday from noon to 8 p.m. and the proceeds are going to be going to the Lake County officers. One officer, unfortunately, was killed, and then 2 were wounded. And so there's going to be 20% of all the food is going back to the families. There's a 50-50 raffle. There is a silent auction, and they're also doing cornhole. So it's going to be an all-day fundraising event. Wayne Dench has gotten involved, and they're donating some stuff as well. So if you guys are looking for something to do and you want to get involved, head out to Froggers and Mount Dora on Saturday, and there will be a lot of stuff going on. So thank you. All right, we're here with Lisa Pearcy, and she's the founder and CEO of 15 Light Years. And so during the break, I asked her if it was okay if we kind of step back a little bit, because she mentioned the education part, which I find kind of interesting, because that is kind of huge, because that's how you're going to overcome the stereotypes. That's how you're going to teach like my generation that it's not going to ruin this. It's not going to do that. That this is the truth about it. So how do you get that information out to the masses?
It's very difficult. There's two parts of the education piece. There's the consumer part, and then there's the industry part.
Okay.
So workforce development, that type of thing.
Right.
Now, the consumer part is really difficult, because you would normally rely on certain like governments and things like that, and it's still kind of a controversial topic.
Is it
depending
really?
on who you ask.
Oh, they want to politicize it,
Yeah,
don't they?
of course.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Yeah, it does suck. But there are some great resources, even on your utilities. If you go to your utility companies, you can ask for trusted installers. But another great resource for homeowners is Solar United Neighbors. They're a nonprofit, and they focus on co-ops. We actually won the last Orange County co-op, and that's how we did a lot of residential there. But and what they do is they focus on educating consumers about renewable energy. Consumers can get together as a group, a collective of, I think the next one's going to be in Orange County or City of Orlando. I'm not sure which one, but and you can get together as a group, and you can choose the company that's going to install your solar as a mass group. So you're getting a better rate at the cost, because you're coming in, as 200 homeowners instead of one.
Is that something that would like happen with HOAs?
HOAs could definitely lead that. They are not, but not that I know of. There was one in particular that was interested, so we did like a lunch and learn type day.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Like a lunch and learn. Right?
Yeah, so if you have a neighborhood who's interested, solar companies are happy to come out and talk about their business. But Solar United Neighbors would be a great resource. They really, really provide education. You can even go to their website and learn a lot. They have a lot of different interview type situations where they'll interview and do podcasts and all kinds of stuff.
Right. No, that's really, really good. Like I said, that's the hardest part, and that's why me working in media, that's something that I've always think about, is that there's so much information and how to get it out to the right people that need to hear it. It's going to make a difference. All right. Well, that's that. I love that. And so the next thing I want to talk about is a little bit about your role in the industry, because we mentioned a couple times is that there's certain industries that are just male dominated, and HVAC was definitely one. And I'm guessing that renewable energy, like the solar part, no, because you're talking about construction, you're talking about equipment and installers and all that stuff, and that just goes straight to the male side of things. So how hard was it for you to become taken seriously in this industry?
I definitely had my moments. People, it's interesting. You have to kind of, I think, work a little bit harder on being able to speak to the industry. You have to work a little bit harder on like getting quizzed or tested, or than if I was a male. If I walked in, they would just assume I know about construction, whereas walking in as a female, they're kind of they're testing me or asking questions, and I do pick up on that. And it happened a lot more in the beginning,
right?
Obviously, than it does now, because I think I've built a name for myself. And for
you
the
have
company.
Absolutely.
But in the beginning, it was really, really difficult. People would make comments like, "Oh, you're the interior designer. What do you have to say about this?" And just making assumptions and things like that. And it was very difficult. But at the end of the day, there is growth in the industry for women, and especially in leadership roles. And we've come such a long way. But it still is only 32% of the industry is women, and that's not it's even less in leadership roles.
Oh, I can imagine.
So, yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with having like an interior design background when you're doing stuff like that, because I'm sorry, but that's a huge part of the way things look. I meant as far as how it looks. So there's something a benefit to that.
Yeah, and
so.
I was discussing, and the reason the comment was made was I was discussing the aesthetics of it, and it is a huge deal for a lot of my developers is how it's going to look on their buildings. Yeah, and architects, and I understand some of their concerns.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when it comes to the footprint of the building, you're fighting for space in the roof. You know, air conditionings can go on a commercial building on the roof. There are different factors that you have to consider when you are putting solar on a building where it's going to be visible, you know. So especially as homeowners, a lot of, you know, homeowners want it on the back of their property and not the front. I think it looks amazing, but I'm a little biased. So.
I've seen some that look obnoxious, and I've seen some that blend right in.
Yeah,
so.
they've come a long way. They used to be that like bright, shiny metal,
Mm-hmm.
and now, you know, they're sleek black, or there's even now solar skins, which is really great, where it's this.
That sounds interesting.
Yeah, like almost like it can be an advertisement, and I say it all the time, you know, put solar on your building and you know, sell the space for advertising. So.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah,
see what you're. Oh,
yeah.
All right, I'll put that in my
So,
arsenal of things to
Yeah,
sell.
yeah. No, if you're a property owner and you have some extra space and, you know, you put up an array, you're getting the energy from that, but you can also put a solar skin. We did the Comcast floating solar by Universal, and it says Comcast on it. So if you ever
Nice.
see that or look up the Comcast floating solar, you'll see what I mean by, you know, ad space.
I think about what my experience with solar. So I grew up in West Melbourne, and my dad, we had a big piece of property, but my dad was very thrifty. He's still very thrifty. He actually built his own solar panel, and it was almost like a wooden box that he ran tubes through and then put something over the top so the sun would come in and heat the water as it went through, that sort of thing. And then I just remember that we had 5-minute showers because when the hot water is out, he wouldn't turn the power on for us. And we have a house of 3 girls too.
That's insane.
So it was a little tough back then. So, but I was like, you know what? It has come a long way. And that thing was ugly as could be too. There was nothing good looking about that. So like I love everything that you're saying about, you know, becoming taken like more seriously. So did it start kind of like, you know how they have like roofing conventions? Do they have solar conventions? And is that kind of like what happens where you kind of started, you bought booth space? You said people got to know you like that?
No, I actually volunteered a lot. I started my networking, I think, just volunteering. I wanted to know everything about the space, and so I got into, like I said, the school system. I helped create the Green Schools program that they have for Orange County.
Oh, tell us about that.
Yeah, so I've always been, you know, focused on nonprofit, and actually somebody told me, Lisa, if you want to be successful in the nonprofit world, you have to make money. Mm-hmm. So I started the company.
Right.
But we still have the 501c3, which is the 15 Light Years Foundation, and it's focused wholly on workforce development and training. Mm-hmm. But we started just by boots on the ground, building an outdoor classroom. We did, you know, recycling days. We did.
So it's like a whole initiative.
Yeah. I mean, we're just, you know, very focused on the latest thing that we did. We're putting some, you know, air conditioning units, some window units in renters' homes that can't afford their energy bills.
That's amazing.
So, yeah.
All right. I lost track of time, but we're already going to break again. So
Sure.
We do have another segment. So everybody stay tuned because coming up we'll have more BaaD Radio.
Welcome back to BaaD Radio, brought to you by Premier Couple Superstore, because a couple that plays together stays together.
Welcome back, and this portion of the show is brought to you by Liberty Property Inspections. Your home is one of your most important investments, so don't trust it to just anyone. LibertyPropertyInspections.net, helping you protect your investment. I also want to give a huge shout out to some other sponsors that make BaaD Radio a reality. Fear No Storm with BoltzLegal.com, Crazy Muscle Nutrition, Imbalance Bodywork, and Forge IT Consulting. Oh, and also Body Street in Winter Park. I am sore as could be today because of Body Street in Winter Park. It was a really good workout. Okay, so we've been talking with Lisa Pearcy, and she's the founder and CEO of 15 Light Years. And during break we talked about it. Whenever we go into the last segment, I'm like, I just want to make sure we cover everything that we can in this time. And we were talking about like the launch of the business. So what did that look like for you?
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that, first, obviously you identify this plan, right? I'm in the energy efficiency space, and I'm like, the next thing is renewable energy. I'm talking to developers. I know it's coming. They have questions.
Mm-hmm. So when you say developers, you're talking about land developers.
Yeah, or multifamily developers or home builders, that type of thing. And there's a lot of question around the renewable energy space, right? So I decided that I'm going to add that, and I'm going to start a business all about renewable energy. And so, of course, you do your market research and all that fun stuff,
Mm-hmm.
right? And then you develop this business plan, and I had this like huge business plan. It was like 150 pages.
Oh my gosh.
And I'm going into banks, like knocking on doors, and it was.
So did you have to get funding to launch it, or did you find a partner?
I needed a little bit of funding. I needed like $250,000, right?
Okay.
Like to really get it to where I wanted it to be, which has been paid off. Yay!
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure.
But it was like, to me at the time, just almost impossible.
Mm-hmm.
I went to 5 different banks, and they all said no.
Mm-hmm.
And, I wonder sometimes about, people shutting the door on me because I came in with this bright-eyed, kind of look in my face, and they didn't take me seriously.
I think that's probably exactly what happened.
Yeah.
It's a shame, but well, can you say who did give you that opportunity so we can give them a shout out?
Yeah, Regions.
All right.
So
shout out to Regions for, giving somebody the opportunity where the other 4 really messed up.
Yeah, exactly. It was one of those pretty woman moments where she walks into the store and says, "Big mistake, huge," with all the quotes.
Oh, yes, that's right. You work on commission, don't you?
Yeah. So I had one of those moments when they finally said yes, because a few of the banks have called me since, and it's like, nope, I'm loyal. So,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, so then the most fun was creating this brand identity, and 15 light years was the inception of Solar Neighborhood. So I love astronomy, and any star within 15 light years of the sun is considered the solar neighborhood. So
Okay, so that's where 15 light years came
that's
from.
where we came from, and that brand identity was just such a great piece for me, creating who we are and our values and our core values and that type of thing. I think that's really something that, people don't realize is such a big part of the business.
Mm-hmm.
It's creating.
That's very inspiring.
Yeah.
Like very inspiring to hear you, like watch you say that and remember back of what it was like when you're like first heard that for the first time. You're like, that's it.
That's it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And you're just like, and who are we, right? Like, we believe in integrity, we believe in impactfulness, and we believe in innovation, and that's who we are, you know? And so like anything that's not that, we don't want it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was really huge to create that for the business, because it gives you those guidelines, right?
And it definitely makes you stand out from the others, because those, like in the solar space, that's just something that wasn't really part of the business plan. It was sales, sales, and sales.
Right. Yeah. And profit's great. And obviously you need it. And my main priority was keeping everyone employed, especially during like COVID and those type of things.
That's very nervous making.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think about that. You know, as far as like growth and what it's like to be responsible for somebody else's well-being and their livelihood. So I can imagine that that's nervous making a lot.
And then obviously you focus on the customer experience. And then from there, that's how you can grow a business, because, if they have that great customer experience, then you get the referrals, and you have to be adaptable and resilient along the way, of course. And mentorship, like, it's huge. You don't have to do anything alone. If you truly rely on the people that are out there that have been through this experience. I've luckily been able to become a mentor now, but I still have mentors.
Right.
So you can be
like
both.
You use like a business coach initially, or like a mentor, somebody to give you like bounce ideas off of?
Yeah, it was just a good friend who believed in me before I believed in myself. So I think that sometimes you have to remember that there are people who believe you can do it. There's plenty of people that told me I couldn't. I mean, I had more people that told me I couldn't than the few that I listened to, luckily, that believed in me before I, even really made anything tangible. But And then from there, you just build a team around you that's stronger than you are, and you're unstoppable, because I couldn't do it without the people that were there.
Do you remember your first customer?
Oh, yeah. It was a really good friend, actually, who was like, hey, I want to do solar. So I gave him a really great deal. And I did his home, and it's here in Maitland. And then our first commercial customer was Dr. Weeks Orthodontics.
Okay.
And he's in your area. He's in Winter Springs. Yeah. And so we put solar on his office, and we did a bunch of pictures on the roof and that type of thing.
Right.
So
that's so exciting that you can remember your first.
Oh yeah.
And then from there it's kind of been referral based.
Yeah. Yeah. We've done almost everything on referrals, of course. Just being a huge educator and being in the market to learn has put me in rooms that I think I wouldn't have been in otherwise. Because I was invited,
Absolutely.
and that's huge.
Well, I think that's the whole thing, especially when it comes with contracts. It's being able to be invited to that party.
Yeah, trust, right? Like they have to trust you.
Yep.
And then they have to trust you every single time, because I think that there are situations where I'll tell people, this just isn't the right fit for you, or we don't have enough space, or that type of thing. And it's hard to walk away, but it's given me so many referrals based on that. Yeah,
the honesty.
Yeah.
So moving forward, you mentioned earlier in the show, you were talking about branching outside of Florida. I mean, have you sat down and really thought about the future?
Oh, yeah, a lot. So moving forward, we really have been getting into design and doing just really, really large-scale campus projects and things like that, and how we can apply solar in a bunch of different ways on one, piece of property. Like on the roof, we have a metal roof. We're doing floating solar for Valencia College in Point Siena.
What's floating solar?
So it's on a pond. It's actually floating on like a dock, like you would have a dock.
That's really cool. So then you don't have to take space for it then,
right.
Because can the ducks get on it and use it as a little home?
Yeah.
No,
they have. It's an ecosystem. It's a booster because it keeps algae bloom away, and then the fish love it because it's shade. And,
right.
And the birds love it. Unfortunately, they poop a lot on it.
I know, right? But no, that's awesome.
They're happy. And then we did rooftop solar there, and then we have solar tables. So we did tables that students can plug their phones into, and it just gives them access.
So cool.
Yeah. They can see it, because when it's always on a roof, nobody sees it. And I think exposure is huge. Like the consumers need to see it and be able to use it real time.
Do you think that they'll be able to be like solar sidewalks at some point?
Yeah, I've actually installed some in Tampa. We did a little solar sidewalk test, pilot project, and there's solar windows coming out, solar blinds, and then they call it BIPV, but it's building integrated photovoltaics.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
That's actually really fun to think about. Where else can we put this?
Yeah. There's fences being made out of solar. There's all kinds of stuff.
Wow.
So.
You got to sit there and think about everything that's in the sun, right?
Yeah.
That's a lot in Florida.
Oh, yeah.
So this is, we're at the 1 minute mark, which I'm really sad, because this is when you say we want another hour. This is where I could talk for another hour. But thank you so much for coming on the show. And then can you go ahead and give everybody all the contact information, and if they wanted to find more about 15 Light Years and some of the, what was it? Anyway, so go ahead.
The Solar United Neighbors. Yeah. It's called solarunitedneighbors.org. And then we've got, of course, 15 Light Years. And I think you gave it before, info@15lightyears.com.
That's it. Well, thanks again for being here. And thank you, everyone, for tuning into BaaD Radio. Have a great week. And remember to support local.